Slurped it up, my G's. Today I'm here to save you. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. I don't know why that was in my head. It seems like this. I'm not going to call out any names on this video, but within my Discord, some people are still using very bizarre mixing techniques that are, at least to me, bizarre. And they are mixing techniques that you hear on a lot of other places on the internet, which I'm adamantly against. So how can I really put this to you guys? Let's talk about Headroom today. Let's talk about Headroom. And I just want to destroy this notion that you need to, for example, turn things down on your channels below zero to get to give enough headroom. That's the myth that I want to dispel and destroy. Okay, so basically, yeah, you don't need to turn down your drum channels, your kick drum to -5, your hat to -7, your snare to -6. You don't need to turn the stuff down in order to leave more headroom. Because when you do that, you're imagining headroom in the wrong way. Okay, you're thinking that it's something that you just have to do, otherwise you won't have headroom. But really, you need to think about headroom in a different way. You need to think that every song you work on has its own headroom, but it's not a number on a chart. It's not a number on a meter. It's not something that you need to measure by a plugin or anything. It's just something that you visualize, sonically. Every track has headroom, and all that means is every track has a limit to how much you can basically cram into it. So yeah, what is it? How does that relate to this? Well, because when you're doing something like turning down your kick drum or your drums to create headroom, you're basically saying that that's not the most important and loudest sound in the mix, but it should be. In drum and bass, you should have your kick drum, up at zero, and you should have, your snare close to there as well. So you don't need to turn it down to create headroom for other stuff, because it's supposed to be the loudest stuff anyway. So what happens when you do that is you dramatically ruin your sound, like terribly. So what will happen is, here I've got this is what I'll see. On some students, it'll be like everything's been turned down, but then when it comes to their master, they're pulling out all their favorite plugins, their isotopes, and God knows what. I don't even have any of those plugins. I just had to get an adaptive limiter just now, just to demonstrate my point. I've never even used it. I don't use limiters ever. I haven't used a limiter once in about 6 or 7 years, maybe. But yeah, what they'll do is they'll turn everything down, and then they'll just re-limit everything back up again. And of course, there's different approaches to making music. You can do it in different ways, but I'm here to tell you that all those other ways are wrong, and this way is right. Okay, and the way that's right is to not do that, because what you're doing is you're turning down a high quality sound and then reshuffling around the dynamics, bringing it back up again. It's going through this whole down up process, and it's weakening it every step of the way. So what happens if you do it like that? You've got your limiter on, and that's pretty much all you get. But if you just turn that off, take that off, right? Bring the kick back up to zero. Oh my goodness. It's like 70 times better already. Just because you left it at zero. You haven't gone through this whole process of going down and back up again. You've ended up with a drum track that's 70 times better than what you were trying to do before, if you were trying to do this old school make room in the headroom technique, So everything up at zero. You obviously, what's coming next. We just clip like a hairdresser, You know, we're just clipping away at everything. We throw our clipper on the master. That's wonderful. We can throw one on the kick channel as well in case. Right, so the drums, a drum group as well that can have a clipper on it. And bring that back up to 0 now. It's going to be even better. That's how it was intended to be. Didn't need to bring it down to create headroom. Didn't need to use any fancy plugins. Just left it how it was and got on with the rest of the track. Okay, so you leave it like that, and you get on with everything else. So that's how you do your mix down. All right, that's the number one tip to fix your mix. So once you got the kick nice and powerful, then you can obviously mix in the hats. You know, I can talk about other things like transient shaping here, but I'm trying to give you a demonstration on the concept of headroom. So now what have we got? What have we got if we look on span, for example, just to look at the frequencies, we've got I mean, this is our headroom basically, you know, in a roundabout way. And we've got a kick drum that is very nice and powerful and punchy and is filling up a decent amount of headroom, as it should. It's not eating up all the headroom, but it's there where it should be. It's at the right level. Now you've got all this other headroom to use within the rest of your track, you know? And yeah, if you put in a piano that you've distorted up to 97 gigawatts, and it's you know, it's got frequencies going, like, you know, let's just do it as a demonstration. Obviously you're not supposed to you're not hearing this right now, but you know, you've got like it's not even loud enough yet. You've got like some ridiculous instrument that's like, yeah, it's just going like way up into the top, you know. It's just, you've destroyed your high end. It's like ridiculously like piercing and loud and horrible. Then, you know, you've eaten up too much headroom. You know, you've used too much. And that's how simple it has to be, you know. There you've used too much headroom for one sound, you know. But if let's turn this back on again. If you've got your drums in a group, for example, all sounding lovely. I think have I overgained something, or is it all okay here? No, I think we're all okay. It's just very loud, but it's sort of supposed to be, you know. Oh, I think I sort of turned the snare up too much, didn't I? There you go. So all kind of sitting where it should be. And in terms of the headroom, they are sitting fine where they are in the headroom already. You don't need to bring them down to create extra headroom. They're supposed to fill up a lot of headroom, you know. So I'm using this demonstration. I'm demonstrating this technique by talking about drums, right? But it doesn't have to be that. It could be your bass. It could be a similar kind of thing. And it could, you could use different things to sort of convey this point that I'm trying to convey. But it's the point of, and it obviously doesn't apply to everyone, but a lot of people, you're overthinking the concept of leaving enough headroom versus actually understanding what headroom is, and then by understanding what it is, having no fear of it. Because what is headroom? It's how much headroom you have for a song, you know? So why do you need to leave headroom for what? You don't need to leave headroom for anything. If you're going to come back and say, oh, you need to leave headroom for the mastering engineer, you're not the mastering engineer. You are the producer. 9 times out of 10, that's who I'm talking to. So you need to produce the fullest mix down that you can. And if the mastering engineer needs headroom, you just turn it down and then you send it to him. You don't mix everything low, because you don't then know how it sounds once it's loud, you know. So start loud and finish loud, please. I'm not saying this, I'm slightly ranting, but I'm mostly saying this to help you, because it's very important that you don't fall into these traps, because you'll waste a lot of time making tracks with bad mix downs where you didn't need to do that at all, So hopefully it helps you guys out. Thank you very much for watching. May I remind you as well, I have many things linked down below, but most specifically, production lessons if you need them. If you want me to help you unlearn some other stuff that is not serving you, come and book a session and I'll help you figure out all the bits where you're going wrong. If you do want mastering, I can help with that as well. Send me an email for a quote, and feel free to come and join my wonderful community on Patreon. We have a Discord over there with lots of members, lots of daily chats going on in there. And thanks to everyone who grabbed my presets recently in the sale. If you didn't get a chance to get them while they're on sale, they're still very fairly priced. We've got Serum, Faceplant, Vital, and Current up there. All right, that's it from me today. Thank you very much, my G's. Much love. More from me soon.